Welcome to the Mind Cut series. Today we're taking a deep dive into a really fascinating conversation with Master Shi Heng Yi. He's a Shaolin monk, and his life's work is all about understanding and mastering the mind.
Yeah, and I think what makes this so relevant for, for everyone listening are the kinds of questions he tackles. They're pretty fundamental, aren't they?
Okay, yeah, let's start right there. I mean, we live in this world just overflowing with options, right? So how do we actually pick a path, find our direction?
And maybe even deeper, what's really behind our struggles? That kind of nagging feeling that something's off.
Exactly. And how do we find a sense of purpose that actually means something to us? Not just, ticking boxes. Plus, how do we break those cycles, those habits that just keep leading back to feeling unhappy?
Uh-huh. And the practical side, too. How can we actually focus, manage all the distractions pulling us left and right?
These are definitely the big ones. So we're going to unpack Master Shi Heng Yi's take on all this, drawing straight from his teachings and, well, his life experience.
Right. And we want to look beyond just the advice itself and really dig into the why and the how, get to those insights that might spark something for you, give you a clearer lens on your own life.
Sounds good. So let's start with his mission, his driving force. What's motivating him to share this wisdom?
Well, at its core, it's about helping people find answers within themselves. He really believes that inner wisdom is, foundational, not just for personal happiness, but also for how we contribute to the world.
Okay. And what's the main hurdle he sees people facing? The thing that makes them seek this out?
It's interesting, actually. He points to the sheer number of choices we have now. You'd think more choice is better, but often it just leads to overwhelm, difficulty making decisions.
Oh, yeah. Decision fatigue is real. Like scrolling through Netflix forever.
Yeah.
So what's his basic approach to cutting through that noise?
It really boils down to self-knowledge, learning more about yourself. He says if your perspective on who you are is off, your decisions will be misaligned. Simple as that, really.
That makes sense. You can't choose what fits if you don't know your own shape, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond choice overload, what else does he see as root causes for, suffering or dissatisfaction?
A big one he observes is our relationship with our bodies, or lack thereof, maybe. He notes how many of us just aren't using our bodies as intended. We sit a lot.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
And what's the fallout from that kind of physical imbalance?
He sees it leading to unbalanced energies, which then manifest as things like anxiety, dissatisfaction, that constant search for something more outside ourselves.
Wow, so a direct link between being sedentary and feeling mentally unsettled.
That's how he frames it, like our bodies are trying to signal something's wrong through those feelings. It's a powerful idea, really.
It is. I know even a quick walk can shift things for me. He also talks about the present moment, right? How we tend to miss it.
Absolutely. We get so caught up in the past or regrets or the future, our plans, that we forget the only reality we actually have is now, this very moment. It's precious and limited.
It's a tricky balance, though, isn't it? You need some vision, some goals, but not at the cost of ignoring today.
That's the challenge he highlights in modern life, reconciling that future vision with the importance, the reality, of the present.
So how does he guide people towards finding purpose in all this? Is it about some big, grand destiny reveal?
Not necessarily. He actually sees purpose as something very personal, sometimes quite immediate. It's not like everyone has the same huge, world-changing mission.
Okay, that feels more achievable.
Right. It can be about finding what makes you feel like you're contributing, even in small ways. What gives you a reason to get up, What feels meaningful to you?
That takes some pressure off. What about the bigger picture, though? Does he talk about, the purpose of existence itself?
He does, and it's quite profound. He suggests our purpose is simply to experience the whole spectrum. The joy, the happiness, yes, but also the tears, the heartbreaks, all of it. Without labeling it good or bad, just experiencing it fully.
Wow. To embrace the whole package deal of being human. That's a shift. He also warns about taking ourselves too seriously.
Yes, definitely. Getting locked into one rigid picture of this is who I am. He says that can cause a lot of unnecessary struggle when life inevitably throws curveballs that don't fit that picture.
Like trying to wear clothes that don't fit anymore. Uncomfortable.
Exactly. He uses this neat analogy. Imagine you're directing the movie of your life. Step outside yourself for a moment. And ask, okay, given the limited time, how do I want the story to play out? It encourages a more intentional view.
I like that. A bit of detachment helps. But okay, if purpose is personal, why do so many people really struggle to find it? Even when they're looking hard?
He points to a couple of things. One is this trap of just constant doing, always busy, always chasing the next thing, and often driven by seeking external validation.
The achievement treadmill.
Pretty much. And there's this feeling that creeps in, even after achieving stuff. Is this it? Is this all there is? Social media can really amplify that, can it?
Oh, definitely. The comparison game.
Right, so you pursue all these external goals, build this impressive life on paper, but there's still this emptiness. Maybe even loneliness, despite being surrounded by people. It highlights that external success isn't the same as inner connection.
So what do we need to connect to then to fill that gap?
Drawing on, a wide range of spiritual traditions, he talks about connecting to a fundamental source. You could call it the universe, God, infinite energy. The name isn't the key thing.
It's the underlying concept.
Yeah, the idea of a single origin point for everything. He uses yin and yang, two apparent opposites, but they come from the same place, a common denominator connecting us all.
And he talks about a level of mind connection to this source. How does that help with, say, loneliness?
He believes connecting at that level, which is deeper than just family or social ties, gives you this underlying sense of not being alone, of being part of something vast, something constant.
It sounds profound, but maybe a bit abstract if you haven't felt it. How does he suggest someone even begins to approach understanding this source?
Well, he's clear that he can only point the way. Experiencing it is a personal journey. But he also says something quite comforting, I think.
What's that?
That everyone is exactly where they need to be right now for their own growth. You don't have to suddenly be enlightened tomorrow.
Okay, so it's about the process, not leaping to the finish line.
Exactly. His advice is practical. Focus on what's making you unhappy now, what's holding you back. Deal with that first. He uses a Super Mario analogy.
Huh, really?
Yeah. You got to clear level 1 before you get to level 2, right? The challenges change as you progress.
I like that. Makes it less intimidating. And he also advises not taking our struggles quite so seriously.
Yeah, that perspective helps. Understanding we're just navigating these different levels can lighten the load a bit when things feel tough.
Okay, so this idea of connecting to a source, feeling complete, how does that relate back to the feeling of lack, that constant striving we talked about?
Master Shi Heng Yi suggests that a lot of that striving, maybe most of it, comes from that feeling of lack, that belief that we're missing something and need to get it from outside.
So even setting goals can come from that place, trying to fill a hole.
Sometimes, yeah. He suggests that when goals come from lack, they're often about creating an identity, a version of ourselves we think will finally be enough, separate from that inherent connection to the source.
Whereas if you feel connected to the source,
then there's inherently nothing to add or take away. You're already complete. Plus, he reminds us, anything we achieve externally is temporary anyway. It has a lifespan.
right, puts all that intense effort into perspective.
And this sets up an inner conflict, doesn't it? The ego wanting to build and defend this separate identity versus a deeper part that just wants to be, without all the striving.
He mentions 3 ways we tend to learn this lesson about letting go of constant attainment.
Yeah. First is direct experience. You finally get the thing you chased and realize, it didn't deliver the lasting fulfillment you expected.
Been there.
Second, you trust a teacher or mentor and basically copy their approach, learn from their experience. Third is through contemplation, really absorbing wise words and letting them shift your perspective without needing the hard knocks yourself.
Seems like option 1 is the most common school. He also talked about clinging to ideas, like maybe needing to become a millionaire.
Right. How people can chase something their whole lives, maybe never get there, and maybe it wouldn't have satisfied them anyway. It shows the importance of being willing to let go of fixed ideas, old patterns, if they aren't serving you.
Okay, so crucial question. How do we actually break those old patterns, the ones that keep tripping us up?
Well, patterns are basically habits, right? Built through consistency.
Yeah.
So the first step, he says, is simple but not easy. Recognize you have one. Awareness.
Just seeing it clearly.
Yeah. And once you see it, the work is to consciously replace the old habit with a new, desired one. It's active replacement, not just stopping the old thing.
And how do we make that stick? Feels hard.
He compares it directly to physical training, like building muscle. You need conscious, consistent practice. If you want to be more patient, you have to practice patience daily in small moments.
So it's not just deciding I want to be patient. It's actively training that quality like a skill.
Exactly. We often pick the qualities we admire, but forget the daily training part. Consistent effort is key to embedding those new patterns.
Okay. Shifting gears a bit, he offers some specific thoughts for young men. acknowledging they face some unique pressures today. What's his core message there?
He sees the struggles, high suicide rates, feelings of aimlessness. His approach, like with his own son, isn't about pushing for constant achievement, that never-enough feeling.
What is it then?
It's more about providing a secure base, a safe framework where they can explore, try things, even fail, and learn from it without judgment, fostering resilience.
So connection over correction, almost.
Connection is huge for him. Staying connected. Building a stable sense of self, knowing your value comes from experience, including the failures, not just external wins, helping them become self-sufficient in that way.
And he hints that maybe some current struggles link back to previous generations.
Yeah, he raises that question, what was or wasn't passed down? What skills, values, emotional tools might be missing from that legacy, contributing to today's challenges? It puts things in a broader context.
In his TED Talk, he laid out these 5 hindrances, things that hold all humans back from their goals. Can you run through those?
Sure. He describes them as mental states that basically cloud your focus. First is sensual desire, getting easily pulled off track by pleasant sights, sounds, tastes, etc.
Okay, the lure of pleasure.
Right. It's not saying pleasure is bad, but be aware of how it can distract. Second is ill will, or aversion, the flip side. Getting agitated by discomfort, things not going your way, challenges, pushing away unpleasantness.
So desire pulls you, aversion pushes you away from your goal. What else?
Third is dullness. He calls it sloth and torpor. Just that lack of energy, lack of motivation, feeling mentally sluggish.
The blahs. Got it. Fourth is restlessness, the monkey mind, right? Can't settle, thoughts jumping everywhere, inability to focus here and now.
Very familiar. And the fifth?
Skeptical doubt, which is basically indecisiveness, lack of trust in yourself, in the path, maybe even in the teacher or the teaching. Constant second guessing.
Those 5 cover a lot of ground. So discipline helps, but he says it's not enough on its own to overcome these.
Right. You need discipline plus awareness. You need to be able to notice when these hindrances are starting to bubble up in your mind, like an early warning system.
Recognizing the trigger moments before they take over.
Exactly. You need to know what sets off your ill will or when restlessness tends to kick in. He suggests practices like breath work or yoga with good guidance can help you become more sensitive to your inner state, your energy.
Like tuning an instrument. Kind of. The goal is to catch the small flame of the hindrance before it turns into a full-blown house fire that consumes your attention. It's inner work, becoming aware of those subtle shifts.
He also uses this phrase, bringing light to the dark areas of your life. What's that about in this context?
It's about having the courage and the trust, really, to look at all parts of yourself, even the bits you usually avoid or don't like. Becoming transparent with yourself, no hiding.
That sounds potentially uncomfortable.
It can be. But he suggests it's the path to real freedom. He uses this idea of imagining an elevated self always watching you, not in a judgmental way, but just as a witness.
Like an internal accountability partner.
Sort of, living in a way that aligns with that higher perspective. And once you have that awareness of your states and triggers, the next step is managing them, learning not to get swept away.
Which links to the idea that everything we do, even think, has consequences.
Precisely. Thoughts, words, actions, they all create results. So he encourages reflecting. Do my actions generally lead towards lightness, freedom, ease, or towards conflict, heaviness, feeling burdened?
It's like choosing which seeds to plant.
Yeah. Are you nourishing restriction or limitlessness within yourself? He suggests looking back at your week. What were the dominant emotions you felt? Were they expansive or constricting?
That's a practical check-in.
The whole goal of this transformation is moving from that feeling of restriction towards lightness. Though he also notes words can only point to these experiences. You have to feel it. Look beyond the surface.
It's so easy, though, to set a goal like being more present or finding peace, and then life just happens. You fall back into autopilot.
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of the week just hit me like a truck. The demands pile up. Master Shi Heng Yi acknowledges that.
Yeah.
His point is, how much do you value that goal?
How important is it, really, compared to everything else pulling at you?
Yeah. You'll always have options, distractions. You have to consciously decide what you truly want and keep choosing actions that align with it. He even suggests life itself will nudge you back on track.
How so?
By presenting lessons, often about the need to let go. Reminding us we came with nothing, we leave with nothing. It's better to learn to release attachments willingly before life forces us to.
Which brings us neatly to attachment versus possession. He makes a clear distinction, right? It's not bad to have things.
Not at all. The Chanzen perspective he shares is more about your relationship to things. How easily could you let them go if you had to? That reveals your level of attachment.
So the question isn't what do you own, but what owns you?
Exactly. What possession controls your peace of mind? He uses a sports car example. If you stretched yourself thin to buy it, you're probably more attached, more afraid of losing it, than if it was easily acquired.
Makes sense. Attachment comes from that place of lack or fear.
Right. And he also points out the initial thrill of any possession fades anyway. So understanding wanting versus needing versus affording helps make conscious choices, less driven by that fleeting desire or sense of lack.
Okay. And circling back to negative feelings, like that ill will, hindrance the aversion. He advises, don't push, don't pull.
Yeah, it's about non-interference. Pushing away things you dislike takes energy. Clinging to things you like also takes energy. Both create ripples, disturb your inner calm, and pull focus from your real goals.
Like trying to hold water still by grabbing at it?
Perfect analogy. Just let it be still. Don't interfere unnecessarily.
How does this apply to dealing with other people's opinions? That can definitely create ripples.
That's a big one today, isn't it? He learned not to get too caught up in what people think, especially if they don't really know him. He cautions against putting others on pedestals or seeking guru status yourself.
And discerning what's real versus fake seems crucial now.
Hugely. He reminds us that anyone's perception of you is just a tiny fraction, a snapshot. Even people close to you might not fully get you, and that can hurt, but acceptance is key.
So the path is,
Yeah.
what? Go your own way with empathy.
Basically, yeah. Understand others have their limits, protect your own inner peace, be mindful of who you let really close, and stay true to your own path and intentions.
Okay, let's talk about the brick breaking. It's such a powerful image. He says it's not just strength, it's intense focus.
Absolutely. It's the ultimate demonstration of mind-body connection. That intense focus, that single point of intention channels the energy. The 5 hindrances we talked about. Any one of them would make it impossible.
So focus is the key ingredient.
Cultivated over years. He talks about reading the brick, sensing its structure, its energy, aligning his own energy with it. It's incredibly subtle.
Most of us aren't breaking bricks, obviously.
Okay, but the mindset translates. That level of focus, consistency, patience, and that's what we need to break through our own obstacles in daily life. The break itself looks instant, but it's built on years of quiet cultivation.
And breaking harder things, like multiple bricks, what does that take? More focus.
Focus, yes, but also significant physical conditioning. Building bone density, strengthening tendons, it's gradual training wood, then stone, then maybe even metal, learning the different frequencies, the feel of each material.
Like an athlete training for years for one event.
Exactly. The performance is visible, the dedication behind it usually isn't. It takes serious, dedicated time.
All this rests on a foundation of Shaolin virtues, right? These aren't just for martial arts.
No, he sees them as essential for life. A guiding system. He splits them into virtues you kind of expect to develop and ones you have to actively learn.
What are some expected ones?
Things like self-control, managing emotions,
Mm-hmm.
discipline, commitment, showing up, benevolence, basic kindness, compassion. The point is building character. Character is what responsibly carries power or skill.
So skills without character can be dangerous.
Potentially, yes. He lists others too: modesty, humility, respect, righteousness, trust, loyalty, willpower, perseverance, persistence, courage, patience. A whole system.
Wow, quite a list.
He groups them too. Virtues of action, like how you behave, loyalty, trust, respect, courage, and virtues of mind, the inner fuel, patience, persistence, perseverance. They support each other.
Okay. Philosophically, he calls his belief system the religion of oneness. Can you unpack that?
It's a belief in that fundamental interconnectedness we talked about earlier. The spiritual path, for him, isn't about gaining something, but about removing the obstacles, the friction that stop us from realizing that connection we already have.
So we're already complete, just covered up.
That's the idea. What covers it up? Our fixed identities, our attachments, especially to the past. The more baggage you carry from the past, he says, the harder it is to break free into a different future.
He also makes a distinction between seeking happiness and seeking peace. Why peace over happiness?
Because happiness, in his view, is dualistic. If you have happiness, you'll have sadness. If you have gain, you'll have loss. They're two sides of the same coin.
But peace is different.
Peace is seen as a deeper state. It's acceptance, equanimity, even when things are tough. It can coexist with hardship in a way fleeting happiness can't. So the goal is increasing peace.
What gets in the way of peace? He mentioned karmic relations.
Yeah, those are the really close connections, family, deep friendships. Because the ties are so strong, their ups and downs, their states can really affect our inner peace. Learning to manage that impact is part of the path.
Makes sense. Let's finish with his daily practice. What does he actually do each day to cultivate all this?
The morning is key for him. First thing upon waking, remind yourself of your true nature. Try to start fresh, empty the mind of yesterday.
Easier said than done.
For sure. Then, immerse in the present. Sit quietly, breathe consciously, do a body scan from the inside out, prepare mentally for the day. He likes solitude in the morning to build energy.
Any physical practice?
Yeah, some basics like push-ups, sit-ups, but also something called standing practice, holding specific postures like a low squat for long periods.
That sounds intense. Might do that.
It's about building willpower and energy directly. You feel the connection between holding the posture, willpower, and the energy it generates or requires. He believes there's deep wisdom hidden in these demanding ancient practices.
Which ties into his emphasis on doing hard things deliberately.
Exactly. Life throws hard things at us anyway. By consciously choosing discomfort sometimes in training, in stepping outside your comfort zone, you're practicing for life's inevitable tensions and releases, learning to handle pressure, release tension, find balance.
So the hard training isn't just physical, it's mental and emotional prep.
Yeah. Shaolin Kung Fu is described as walking through the valley of pain, constant stretching, conditioning. You don't become numb to pain, but your relationship changes. You observe it without immediate reaction.
And growth only happens outside the comfort zone.
That's the principle. Little by little, consistently pushing those boundaries. Your body tells you its limits, but often there's more range within those limits than you think. You have to step into the unknown for something new to arrive. Keeps life from being boring, too.
So for someone listening who wants to get more comfortable with uncertainty, what's the first step?
Small things. Raise your hand in a meeting if you usually don't. Try a new route home. Start that small project you've been putting off. Anything that breaks your usual pattern.
Facing the fear.
Fear is a big one. He talks about waking up from the dream of taking life quite so seriously. Most things we worry about never happen, and the ones that do, we often can't control anyway. Rationalizing helps.
And embracing that life isn't just good or bad.
Yes, embracing the duality, the yin and yang. It's ancient wisdom, really how to find liberation from that cycle of chasing pleasure and avoiding pain.
Wow. Master Shi Heng Yi has really given us so much to think about today, hasn't he? From, the practicalities of focus right through to the deep nature of who we are.
Absolutely. That constant thread of self-awareness, breaking free from patterns that limit us, understanding impermanence. It's a powerful framework for just navigating life. Yeah, and it underscores that finding peace, finding purpose. It's such a personal journey. It starts with that honest look inward, doesn't it? And maybe being willing to be just a little bit uncomfortable sometimes.
For sure. We really hope this deep dive has sparked some of those aha moments for you listening and offered some useful ways to think about the questions you might be holding.
Maybe consider how some of these ideas land for you. Do they resonate with patterns you see in your own life? What's maybe one tiny step you could take today? Maybe just more awareness, or stepping into a sliver of uncertainty.
Just something to mull over. This has been a Mind Cut, bringing you a concentrated dose of wisdom. We hope you'll revisit these ideas and explore them further on your own time.